Hello, lovely members, and welcome to Tutor Focus, where I get the chance to speak to some of our fabulous tutors so that you, the members, can get to know them better. My name's S.L.Ager, and I'm the author of the Cadwallader Quests vocabulary novel series and accompanying workbooks, and they're just behind me. And today I have someone who I absolutely love. I love his resources because they're brilliant for kids. They're interesting, they're informative, they're really well produced. It is Alexander Rosenberg of Linkythinks. Hi, Ali, how are you?
I'm all right, Sheena. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. We aim to keep this fairly short so that we can whiz through and members get to know you quite quickly. So if it's okay with you, I'll start straight away, Ali. And I would like to say, what speciality do you tutor and where do you do it?
Well, I've taught many topics over the years, from art, English, creative writing, comprehension, science up to GCSE and A-level, revision methods and organizational techniques. But these days I do specialize more in creative writing and comprehension, just because that's what I enjoy the most and that's what is most in demand from my clients. And I work from North London, although these days only online, as is the way of the world.
Yeah, I guess kind of that's what I meant. And will you be staying with online in the future?
For now, certainly. It works really well. I've got an international set of students, and I mean, just this morning I was working with kids from round the corner from me, and also in Hong Kong and Singapore and Cyprus and everywhere. So we'll just have to see how things open up again, but I don't want to abandon my international groups. So it works really well. I've done online teaching for years, long before the pandemic, and particularly now with the setup I've got, I think there are many benefits to it. Although I know it's not for everyone, it works well.
Well, I've actually indeed sat in on a couple of your sessions, and what I found really astounding was how well you conducted an art session online. I was really impressed, and the engagement from the kids was fantastic. So well done.
Well, thank you. I mean, my background is in fine art, and so I use a lot of technology for designing a lot of my resources anyway. So I just kind of connect it all up, and it's all nice and interactive.
Very talented young chap.
Stop.
You are. So why and how did you become a tutor, Ali?
Well, like all the best things in life, I kind of just fell into it. And it was around the time I was finishing my master's degree. I was studying neuroscience at UCL, doing research into the human brain. And it sort of had, funnily enough, a lot of relevance to learning and how the brain absorbs information. But I thought I was going to apply for research positions in university laboratories. And it just so happens I saw a friend post on Facebook looking for a tutor. And I thought, I can do that, sort of just blagging it. And it turns out I felt I had an affinity for it. I enjoyed it. I felt I had stuff to contribute as a perpetual student myself. And I spent the first however long really focusing on designing bespoke revision techniques, organizational skills, learning how to learn kind of methods for kids of all ages, even university level. And then I started to work with an agency and hone in on the 11+ stuff. And it's kind of just evolved from a lot of one-to-one tuition into more group tuition and designing resources, and just kind of developed from there. I first started designing resources when I felt there were certain topics that were badly taught or I found boring to teach. And I thought, well, I would much rather teach it this way to make my life easier. And it made the kids' lives easier as well. So things snowballed from there.
The kids have a real affinity with you as well, because also you're quite funny. You're like
no pressure. Thank you.
You're both really funny with the kids. Okay, I know what your greatest strengths are because I've seen you teach and sat in on some of your private lessons. But what would you say your greatest tutoring strengths are, Ali?
I feel I'm a good communicator generally, if I'm allowed to toot my own trumpet. But what I try to do, which I feel maybe hopefully sets me apart in the mind of the kids anyway, is I really remember what it was like to be that age, to be 7, 8, 9, 10, and to be sat with a tutor and totally glazed over. And I remember what it felt like to struggle or for something just not to click. And we've all had teachers at school. I'm sure everyone will relate to this. Teachers where they're obviously brilliant at their subject, they're brilliant scientists or historians, but they can't communicate. And they might have been brilliant in their field, in research, in academia, but they're just appalling at expressing a joy of the subject to the child. And I really feel that it is not a child's job to come to a subject with a pre-existing love or interest in it. It's not a child's job to find something interesting or to find something easy. It's my job to present it to them in a way that instills that. And so by remembering what it was like to, read a paragraph over and over and think like, it's not gone in, and then read it again and go, it's still not gone in, or sit listening to a tutor and you kind of wake up halfway through the lesson going, oh, I've not been listening. I don't know where I am. Oh no, I need to admit now that I'm stuck. I remember all those horrible feelings. And so I feel that I always try to appeal to the child and what will help them. And then from there on, everything's easy. Yeah. If you appeal to the parents and go on about how, prestigious and I can get your, kids into this school and that school and make it all sound very official, great. And it works for some. For me, I would much rather appeal to the sensibilities of the child, and then everything flows from there. If you get the kid on board and you make them enjoy it, then my job is a lot easier and more enjoyable.
Yeah, and I think your resources really do that. And as you know, I recommend them all the time because they're fabulous, especially the new Descriptosaurus, which I absolutely love.
Descriptionary.
Ah!
All right. Ding,
my bad. Right.
It's
sorry, right. Descriptionary, which I've got up there. Sorry, Ali.
It's all right.
But also, the new word wheel for grown-ups is just brilliant.
Yeah, so we've now got the trilogy. Yes, so we've got the elementary version for 6 to 9 year olds, and we've got the advanced version for 9 to 13 year olds. They're more to do with creative writing, vocabulary building generally. And then we've now got the Pro edition, which is for kids and adults and teenagers and anyone really. It's aged 13 to 300, focused on all sorts of academic, formal, professional communication.
Oh, my kids loved it as well. I mean, they are 16 and 14, so they actually said, yeah, we can really use these. So we just leave that hanging around. It's really, really good. So what's your favourite part of tutoring, Ali?
I love the moment where it clicks. I'm always trying to reshape the information to fit the mind of whoever's listening. And often it's totally natural to explain something in a way that makes sense to you and be met with a blank face. But as I said before, it's my job to shape it in a way that is most palatable to a child. And when it clicks and you can see that moment of revelation in a kid's face, that is really joyous. Because in feeling like you're good at something, building confidence in something, that's where all the enjoyment comes from. And it's the difference between a child who loves learning and a child who's just slogging through it for the sake of an exam. Once a kid starts to realize that they've got skills they didn't realize they had, it has impact across the whole of their lives.
Yeah, it does.
And that I love that.
And confidence, I think you said everything's about confidence, isn't it? Once we have self-belief, we flourish. So absolutely.
I had teachers at school who really didn't instill confidence, and there was a lot of kind of putting people down when I was that age. And so I really love to build my students up.
I think you hit the nail on the head as well with, a lot of teachers are probably brilliant, but they're just not great communicators. And I think that's really critical. And I see all the good tutors, the very successful people are great with the kids and great communicators. It's very obvious to me. So one question before we close, Ali, and you're only allowed one tip. What's your top tip to parents?
What for parents?
And it's only one.
I would say there's no aspect of your child's education that's more important than their mental health and personal well-being. It's so easy to put all of the anxieties that are totally normal for a parent to feel onto the child. But just remember, it is going to be okay. Their whole life isn't necessarily hinging on this one particular part of their education, and it's okay to step back, plan the breaks and the rest and the fun, as well as planning all the hard work. the mental health should always be the highest priority. Is that one tip, or did I sneak a few extra ones in there as well?
I think that's a great point, Ali. And actually, it's interesting because I've spoken to quite a few tutors now, and you're the first one to say that. So, well done. And before we close, Ali, where can we find everything that you do, please? You know, the way you teach, your resources. Where can a parent go to find everything in one spot?
So if you go on linkythinks.com, there's also a Linkythinks Facebook page and Instagram, but the website, Linkythinks, not Linkythings, thinks, linkythinks.com. And that's where you can find information about my classes and courses and my resources, online resources and physical products, and a little bit more about me and my background.
Okay, and because I made such a horrendous gaffe.
Oh, not really.
Show us the descriptionary again and show us a few pages, please, Ali, because the cover is brill, but you've got to see this. And anybody who complains about the cost, you've not seen it.
Well, there's a lot of content here, and it's, as you can see, it's quite big. It's quite big.
Huge.
I mean, I'm only 4 foot tall, so that's deceiving. That's
and it's brilliant, and it's actually not. And Ali, I want to say, I suspect there's probably quite a huge shipping cost involved with this because it's such a great. It is quite a big product. So
it cost me about £7 to get it to the door, but we don't charge that much. But we will be on Amazon soon. And the idea of this is the first edition of the Descriptionary, Humanoids edition. I'm working on the next one, which I'll tell you all about later. And the whole point of it is about describing characters, every aspect of their physicality, but also you've got a personality profile at the top of every page, all these different characters, both fantastical and realistic. And then from there, you've got...
Show us the back as well, Ali. All the work that's...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So the idea is that you can mix and match the body parts and turn it into a bit of a game. So it's about building vocabulary and description skills, but also what I feel sets it apart, I hope, as well as all the pages on motivation and body language and how to describe emotions. There are 8 stories. I show how to build a short story around a character and turn all of these characters into the main protagonist or a protagonist within a story. And then you've also got a massive glossary at the back. So every single fancy schmancy word is defined in a child-friendly way. Oh, and
you know, I'm a bit of a glossary girl. I like the glossary, but
you're the glossary queen.
But
and there's also 80 story titles.
But I find writing short stories really difficult because I write long stories. And I think your short stories are smashing because they get everything in, but they're good, they're fun. And I think if a kid can encapsulate that, and that's what you teach, then they're there, because I think writing short stories is harder than writing novels, especially when
kids aren't exposed to many of them.
Yeah.
So of course they find it hard. Where do you see them? So that's why I wanted to make this a storybook as well. And I know that some kids use it almost like bedtime stories, because the more you're exposed to high quality work of any kind, the more you're able to emulate that.
I don't want to sound in any way sexist here, but I think it's also brilliant for boys, your book.
Yeah, there is. No, it's true. There are, you know, boys often, not always, often struggle with this side of things more. And, you know, I think it's important. I've tried to present a diverse bunch of characters and diverse types of stories. And there's kind of magical stories and realistic stories and gruesome kind of scary stories, as well as just downright silly, you know, puerile daftness. There's just, you know, I try to make resources that appeal to a broad demographic. And so far they seem to, which is really nice.
And they do. And Ali, thanks once again. Sorry for my gaffe, but we'll keep that in, because let's be genuine. It's
not a gaffe. There's loads of. I recommend that there's a product called the Descriptosaurus, which is a different product. It does a different thing, and I recommend it to lots of my students anyway. Very happy to be associated with all of the many wonderful things. There's room for all of it out there.
I totally agree. There is. And Ali, thanks again. So it's Alexander Rosenberg of Linkythinks, and I'll see you soon, Ali.
See you, Sheena. Thanks a lot.
Bye. Thank you.